Hello friends and neighbors. So, you remember how I said I was gonna look at this list of my favorite books and reread and review each of them and let you know why it was still a favorite if it was still a favorite? Yeah, how's that working out for me? I know I've been really bad about the favorite books reviews. I haven't done one for months. I've only done one so far this year. I've been trying to catch up on my regular reading, but I do have for you a favorite books review, the 50th favorite books review right here. Now you might remember that I told you that the 50th favorite books review was going to be Fire Rose by Mercedes Lackey. You might also remember me telling you that if it wasn't Fire Rose by Mercedes Lackey, it was going to be the Incarnations of Immortality series by Piers Anthony. So here it is, the 50th favorite books review on Percy Jackson and the Olympians series by Rick Riordan. So I should come clean and tell you that I didn't actually read this series in a literal sense. While we were driving to Seattle, Washington, we listened to the audiobook of the Percy Jackson series. But I still got the story and the characters and all that sort of thing, so I'm gonna do the review of it. And also understand this is not the review of the audiobook, this is a review of the actual series, not the specific audio recording that we listened to, although I do have a few things that I could say about that, but never mind. So, Percy Jackson and the Olympians. I absolutely adore this series. I found the series pretty much completely by accident. I was browsing the young adult shelf at my home local library and I happened to come across this series of 3 books and they were about Greek mythology and I said, hey, I like Greek mythology, maybe I'll like these books. And by golly, I did. This is the story of a young boy named Percy Jackson, who, as it turns out, is the son of Poseidon. Yes, the gods and goddesses and other characters of Greek mythology are still alive and kicking in 21st century New York. And they're still causing trouble, hence Poseidon fathering a child named Percy Jackson. This is especially troubling because Poseidon, along with his brothers Zeus and Hades, made an oath that they would not father any more children. 1, because they were incredibly powerful, and 2, because there was a prophecy that said that the son of one of the big 3, Hades, Poseidon, or Zeus, would make a decision that would either end the world or save it. And so Percy Jackson finds out that he's a half-blood, he gets sent off to this summer camp for half-bloods to get trained in sword fighting and using his magical powers and all that sort of thing. And at this point you might be thinking, a children's fantasy series about a young boy with magical powers who gets sent to a facility to be trained and who has to somehow save the world from an evil power trying to take over it and who has a prophecy that says that he could very easily end up destroying the world instead of saving it. This is sounding oddly familiar. Okay, yes, there are certain similarities between this series and another popular children's book series that you might have heard of called the Harry Potter series. And I have seen people accuse this series of being a cheap ripoff of the Harry Potter series, but let me assure you it is not. Yes, there are similarities because both stories are based on the same story archetype, the hero's journey. And since this book is about a modern-day Greek hero, it kind of makes sense for the hero's journey to be a part of it. And besides, this series is as good as the Harry Potter series. In fact, I think it's better. There are 3 main reasons why this series is on the favorites list. First of all, I absolutely love Rick Riordan's writing style. This story is written in first person from Percy Jackson's point of view, and it's also written in a way that he would speak it, so it's like he's right there telling us the story. And it ranges from incredibly funny to incredibly serious. It is able to do both extremely well. And also, the descriptive analogies, man. The descriptive analogies. I mean, these analogies are about as creative and funny and apt as any other descriptive analogies that I have seen in a piece of literature. Second, the concept is really fascinating. The whole idea throughout the series is that the Greek myths and the Greek gods and goddesses are intricately tied in with Western culture. As such, when Western culture moves, so do the Greek gods. So Western culture was in Greece, but now it's in the United States. And so all the gods and the locations and everything has moved to the United States. So Mount Olympus is at the top of the Empire State Building and the entrance to Hades is in Los Angeles, of course. In addition, the Greek gods and the Greek myths have been kind of modernized. For example, Hermes uses a cell phone, Zeus wears a pinstripe suit. This idea that the gods and the goddesses in the Greek myths are responsible for modern culture, and this link is strengthened when they drop these hints about these big movers and shakers like Houdini and George Washington, who were actually demigods, the sons and daughters of gods. And the third reason I like this so much is it's Greek mythology. And it's Greek mythology and everything that it entails with entirely new life breathed into it. These stories first came about because Rick Riordan was reading the Greek myths to his son, and eventually he ran out of myths, and so he started making up his own. And it doesn't skimp, it doesn't cop out on the myths. Everything that would have been really, really grisly in the Greek myths is pretty grisly in the modern day retellings. The gods and goddesses get around and sire illegitimate children. When somebody dies a grisly death, they really do die a grisly death. In addition, the characters are fascinating, the plot doesn't always go in the direction that you think the plot is going to go, and the messages that it has are very much associated with Greek mythology. And most of the stuff is really accurate. I mean, Rick Riordan obviously did a lot of research to write these books. So I think that this series of books is a great way to introduce Greek mythology to kids, and of course it's great for Greek mythology geeks like me to geek out over. So if you have not read Rick Riordan's Percy Jackson and the Olympians series, I highly recommend that you do. It's 5 books plus 1 piece of supplementary material that goes between books 4 and 5 called the Demigod Files, and that is also very good. It's still on the favorites list. I absolutely adore it, and yeah, that's about all I have to say about that. And the next book on the favorite series, God only knows, but maybe it'll be Fire Rose by Mercedes Lackey. See you next time.